Welcome to Satsang.
Hello, Vishrant. Can you please talk about the question, why can't I go straight to enlightenment?
First of all, there needs to be an understanding that you don't actually get enlightened. That's not possible. You, the one that wants to be enlightened, is the false one. It's the ego. It never becomes enlightened. In fact, it disappears. In enlightenment, it drops. And so it can never go straight to enlightenment because it's actually made up of dream. It just disappears. Beingness, what we truly are, is reality. It is real. When it becomes aware of itself, that is enlightenment. And that doesn't have much to do with the ego or the mind, really, except that in a human, for enlightenment to occur, the mind needs to support it. And so anybody can have a satori, a glimpse of who they truly are. Awareness turns onto itself for a short period, and they might hold that in memory. Some people think that's enlightenment, but that's not enlightenment. That's just a glimpse, a satori. If anything, an invitation to do the work for enlightenment. For the mind to support enlightenment, it needs to be calm, restful. It can't be constantly contracting and resisting life because awareness gets attracted back to it. So a mind needs to be a certain way for enlightenment to occur and be ongoing. And so people ask, well, why can't I stay awake? I find myself as truth through self-inquiry, through witnessing, but I can't stay awake. It's because there's something still in the way. Something is still attracting attention to itself. Awareness is pulling away from itself and back onto the mind. The mind hasn't surrendered. And so people experience satori, they get a glimpse of the beauty, the vastness, the nothingness of it all. And then they come back to ego-based reality after that, and they want more of that. Even the wanting is a bit too much because it's a contraction. Satori usually happens as an accident. Someone's self-inquiring and they're relaxed enough and the awareness turns back to itself. Enlightenment is pretty much the same. It's an accident. The mind is restful. It's relaxed. It's not uptight. It's not attracting attention to itself. And awareness can find itself and lock onto itself. And so the idea of going straight to enlightenment is an idea that is put out by some spiritual teachers, but it's not an idea that I agree with at all. It has definitely not been my experience. If a person hasn't developed a mind that will support enlightenment, it is highly unlikely, no matter how many satoris they have, that they're going to stay awake. And so people want it easy. They want to wake up. That's it. They don't realize that they're not going to be there to enjoy it, but they still just want to wake up. And they don't want to do any work. They just want an easy way to get there. Well, there is no easy way to get there. You have to raise your consciousness levels. And when your consciousness levels are high enough and your mind is not contracting against the world, not resisting the world, then self-inquiry works quite nicely to turn awareness back onto itself. And if the mind can support this by getting out of the way, that works. It's up to you. Raising your consciousness levels is brilliant. Lower consciousness absolutely sucks. In lower consciousness, you're just dreaming your life away. In higher consciousness, you're present to reality. You see things coming, you see things going. You're aware of the mind. You're aware of what the mind's doing. You're aware of everything that's going on inside your head. In lower consciousness, you're just aware of dreams and you think they're real. So people get lost in these dreams for their whole lives, thinking they're real, when no thought is real. It's all imaginary. What we are is real, and it is here now. It is the pure awareness that is aware of the mind. I remember when I first got into Advaita Vedanta, the methodology of self-inquiry, I was finding myself's truth and then losing it, came back to ego-based reality. And it was like the difference between heaven and hell in a lot of ways, because the ego is just a contraction that problem solves, tries to survive. And beingness is just so vast, nothingness, just nothingness, so beautiful. The difference is quantum. But I just had to let go of a few more things, had to surrender a few more things that were in the way. So I did. From the time that I started having my first satoris to the time that awakening occurred was about 19 years. If I had have had a teacher on hand, I think it could have been faster, but my teacher wasn't available. And so I was in the dark a fair bit of the time. And when the ego's in the dark, it gets up to all sorts of rubbish. I hadn't really understood how to surrender unconditionally. I hadn't really understood why awareness wouldn't stay on itself, no matter what I did. If I had have had an awake teacher present, I think it would have been easier. But such is life. It's all karmic. Any questions? Any statements? Any challenges to anything that's been said here today?
The first question is, what is the most straightforward way to enlightenment?
Oh gosh, I wish there was one. I spent a lifetime undoing myself. The only thing that is in the way of enlightenment is you. There isn't anything else in the way. You and all your belief systems that keep you contracting to life. So the fastest way to enlightenment is to find yourself someone who's awake and go and hang out with them, and they will help you take yourself apart. They will provide a Buddha field or an energy field that will allow your mind to clear and have clarity and dissipate. And they know the way, so they can show you the way. When I was with my teachers, when they were available, I listened to them like my life depended upon it. And I followed their instructions because I knew they knew better than I did. But one of the problems I see a lot of people have is they think they know better. They think they know an easier way. And I don't think there is an easier way. You want to wake up, find someone who's awake, go and hang out with them. That works really well. That's what's been done for 10,000 years traditionally. The master-disciple relationship, which is a love affair. The most beautiful love affair, because in that love affair you dissolve and find yourself as truth. But it's up to you. If all you do is collect knowledge from books and videos and Zooms, even Satsangs, it's not enough. Collecting knowledge is the booby prize. It doesn't make you more conscious and it doesn't wake you up. Unconditional surrender is the key. And we learn that by undoing our mind, by accepting life as it is, by practicing openness.
The next question has been written by Sally. What did you need to let go of or surrender to?
Everything. Need is a good, interesting word. I wanted to be free, so I just let go of everything. I let go of everything, all my material assets. I let go of the people in my life. I let go of my belief systems. I let go of my ideologies. I let go of my religion. I let go of everything. Because anything that you hang on to, no matter what it is, it's a prison. It keeps you tethered. You can't fly while you're holding on to something. So let go, let go, let go.
Next, we have a question from Neil.
Hello, Vishrant.
Hello?
So you mentioned about thoughts and that thoughts are not real, but don't we all have the choice to take actions based on these thoughts and turn these thoughts into something real?
You could say that, but thoughts themselves aren't real. They're imaginary. What's real is beingness. What's real is what you see, what you hear, what you feel, what you touch, what you smell. What you think about it is not real. It's just imaginary. And being able to discern the difference between what is real and what is not real is quite difficult, because we've been trained to live in our heads. We went to school and we learned how to live in our heads. And so most people think what they think is real. And they think that they need to keep thinking to do things. And my experience is that that's not true. As an adult, I've learned everything. It's like riding a push bike. I don't need to think about riding a push bike, it just rides itself. But that goes for just about everything that I do in life. I don't need to live in my head in an imaginary world, a matrix of the mind. I can be real. I can be.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And another question was, you mentioned that you love silence and stillness, and you also talked about living like Zorba the Buddha. So celebrating life like a Zorba and living in silence and stillness, aren't these two things contradicting, opposites?
Heck no. I can dance, I can run, I can play without thinking. I can talk to you without thinking. You just think you need to think. As an adult, it's all automatic. It's all programmed. I have a great life. I'm out having adventures with my people all the time, squeezing the juice out of life. The idea of sitting in a room in silence, blissed out, well, that's nice, but it doesn't help anybody. My teacher, Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh, said, if you find the light, share it. Don't hide it away somewhere, share it. And how can you share it if you're sitting in a room somewhere, blissed out?
Right. And he also did it for some 4 years, like sitting in silence. Osho.
Osho sat in silence for 4 years, yeah, but we don't know how silent he was because I didn't have access to him during that 4 years. I mean, I saw him every day in Satsang and he didn't talk, but what he was doing in his own private life, I have no idea. There was 20,000 other people in the ashram at the time. I didn't have the access.
And one more question about speaking the truth. What if this truth that we're about to say is gonna hurt someone really bad? So should I still speak the truth?
You know, it depends a great deal on what the relationship is that you have with that person. Is telling them the truth for their best benefit, or is there something else going on? The truth can be used as a weapon, or it can be used as a healing agent. It's up to you where you're coming from with it, how you're delivering it, why you're delivering it.
Right. Yep, that's it. Thank you, Vishrant.
Nice talking to you, Neil.
Next, we have a question from Abhay.
Hello, Abhay.
Hi, Vishrant. Vishrant, is the devotion and love affair with the master enough, or the self-inquiry is a must thing, like to become free?
Yeah. Okay, for me, it was a combination of the bhakti path and the jnani path, the path of devotion and the path of discipline. And so I was very big on self-inquiry. I was very big on meditation, witnessing the mind. But I was also very devoted to my teachers. I loved them so much. I could never, ever repay them for what they'd shown me.
Okay.
And
So-
I see it a bit like, it's like the jnani path is one wing, meditation, self-inquiry, witnessing, one wing, and there's another wing. And the other wing is devotion and love. And with these two wings, you can fly.
Yes, thank you very much, Vishrant.
Thank you, Abby.
The next question is from Susha.
Hi, Vishrant.
Hello, Susha.
So, Vishrant, sometimes it's easy to find the silent witness and do the meditations. Stays with me all day long. And some days it just doesn't come. The mind is too powerful. What's happening?
Well, for me, it was really simple. I'd just sit still until I found what I was looking for. It sounds like there's a certain level of impatience there. And that doesn't work because that in itself is a contraction. That is a resistance. See, when people say they haven't found what they're looking for, I just say, well, you haven't tried long enough. I remember with self-inquiry, if I had the time, I'd self-inquire for 4 hours at a time while walking on the foreshore of the river by myself, just self-inquiring, asking the question. And it was in that relaxed state, walking on the foreshore, that I first found myself as the universe through self-inquiry.
So the key word is relaxed state. I'm not getting there.
Well, how much time do you put into it? When does the mind actually relax? If it's tense and uptight, it's not going to find much because awareness is going to be locked on it.
Yes, but sometimes it finds it and then it's lost.
Yeah.
And it's lost mostly because it contracted.
My understanding of self-inquiry, meditation, witnessing the mind is it needs to be a game that you play. And it's a game that you play a lot. And you don't take it too seriously, you just do it. Meditation for me, being present to what is real, was very important. But it wasn't serious. It was just a game I played until my mind developed default patterns of being present to reality. Self-inquiry got to a stage where instead of asking the question, who am I or what's aware, just the word aware would take me back. But that was after a lot of practice. Whatever we practice, we get good at. How practiced at being relaxed are you? Because it is a relaxed mind that supports Satori, supports higher consciousness, supports heart. Uptight mind just supports suffering.
Yes. Not as relaxed as I would like to be.
But then you accept that. You always accept whatever is happening in the moment, because acceptance is the key to letting go.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
The next question has been written by Vishnu. Namaskar, Vishrant. What is your opinion on chastity and sex? Is chastity needed to get enlightened?
Namaskar, Vishnu. A lot of people talk about renunciation as a requirement for higher consciousness. I don't think it is. It's just another thing that we can learn to surrender in. I can understand why the Buddha asked his monks to be celibates, because it is a distraction, but it's not a requirement. Whatever we put first is always going to win. So if we put truth first, we put heart first, they're going to win. If we put sexuality first, which is a primal program, it's going to win. But it's not necessarily in the way as long as truth and heart are put first. Truth and love are put first. So it depends a great deal on what you put first. Someone who's celibate or may be actually fantasizing constantly about sex, so the celibacy is not helping them anyway. One of the reasons I don't necessarily support celibacy in the ordained ministers here is because I've seen it turn so many men into perverts, repressed sexuality, which I think is unhealthy. I don't think there's anything wrong with sexuality, but what do you put first? Where are your priorities? If your priority is truth, if your priority is heart, well, that is going to win. It's up to you. What do you put first? What do you make important?
The next question by Vishnu. What is the easy meditation technique to get enlightened in our busy lives?
Self-inquiry. Asking the question, what's aware? I say it's easy because it became easy for me. Every thought that arose in my mind before awakening was challenged with the question, what's aware? and then followed back to that was aware, beingness, I think it's the most direct and fastest way to find self. But unless the mind has been prepared to support what is found, enlightenment's probably not possible. The mind needs to be able to stay still, needs to stay relaxed, needs to not contract all the time, needs to be not in resistance to life. It needs to be relaxed. And so the fastest way is probably self-inquiry. But you need to undo the mind. You need to prepare it. You need to practice acceptance. You need to practice openness. You need to practice present moment awareness. I mean, what can you really do about enlightenment if you're not even present to what's real? If all you're present to is dreams, the matrix of your own mind. So it's up to you. I love the present moment aware that is here. I just love it. Now, if I decided to think about it, I wouldn't be interested in that because my mind doesn't have an interest in dream. It has an interest in what is real. And nothing you think is real. Beingness is real. Beingness is lovely. Love is real. What I see out here is real. What you see is real. What you hear is real. What you think about it is not. Meditation is simply keeping awareness on that is real. Up to you. You create your reality.
The next question has been written by a viewer. In one of your videos, you mentioned Isaac Shapiro. So I decided to have a listen to his videos and was very disturbed by what he's saying about the pandemic and vaccine, etc. What am I missing about him? He's spreading opinions and beliefs. I guess everybody has them, awakened or not. Could you please talk about this?
Everybody has them, awakened or not. That's so, so, so true. I love Isaac. I don't agree with him though. It's the world we live in, the world of duality, non-agreement. When I shut my eyes, that world doesn't exist. Only the world of one, non-duality. In that world, the mind is profoundly at peace. Come out here into the world of duality, and there's opinions about all sorts of things. Some based on religion, some based on politics, some based on medical advice. If you want to find peace, find that it all appears in. Find the background of all things. Whether people agree or disagree with me, I don't care. It's okay. It's okay for people to have other opinions. The moment you go into disagreement, the moment you go into resistance, backing that disagreement, you're creating suffering for yourself, which you then share with others. Even though I might disagree with what Isaac's saying, I'm not going to go into resistance. Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to create suffering in myself? The way of the heart is the path of least resistance. no resistance. It's beautiful. And then you love everybody, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Non-resistance leaves you wide open to love. The moment we go into resistance, the moment we close, we cut ourselves off from love. Love is so beautiful, but it requires a mind that is open, a mind that is undefended, a mind that is vulnerable. And you're responsible for that. And so you can go into disagreement with what Isaac might be saying, and you might be right. But if you back it with resistance, now you're creating your suffering. Not him, not his ideas. You do it to yourself. You're supplying the resistance. Accept life as it is, then life becomes very beautiful.
The next question has been written by Neil. Is it wise to save money for the future, or should I spend it all in the present moment as there's only now?
Interesting question. I've always had the opinion, ever since I was a young teenager, that I would not live for another year. And the reason I had that opinion was because I was into extreme sports when I was younger, risking my life constantly playing fun games. And so even through my 20s and 30s, I didn't save any money because I thought I was going to die. And at that age, I didn't have any dependents, so there was nothing to leave to anyone. Or if there was money left in the bank, that would seem to me to be a waste. And so I had such a ball. I spent every cent I made having fun, throwing parties for people, traveling around the world, doing whatever I liked. I have no regrets whatsoever. It wasn't until I had children that I realized, more responsibilities. I need to have a backup system for them. And so I created a backup system for them. But up until that point, I was very, very carefree. It's up to you. What are your responsibilities? If you don't have any, if you don't have children or someone that needs to be taken care of by you, spend a lot, have fun. Why not? But if you have responsibilities, take care of those responsibilities. Protect the ones you love.
The next question is as follows. I've heard many teachers talking about the need to drop the seeker. Do you think it's important to drop the seeker?
No, the seeker drops by itself. As you come closer to enlightenment, you start to feel the expansiveness of beingness. The seeker drops by itself. It disappears altogether. The desire for enlightenment disappears. The desire for anything to be different than how it is disappears. You don't need to drop the seeker. My experience is you don't need to drop anything. It all drops away by itself. Prepare the mind for enlightenment. Remove anything that creates contraction in you. Self-inquire, practice openness, be present to reality. If you don't have a thirst for it, then it's not going to happen. And so that thirst needs to be like a man being held or a woman being held underwater, starving for air. In that thirst, you'll do whatever it takes to come home, to wake up. But towards the end, all that disappears. There's just nothing, nothing, nothing. The mind is relaxed. It doesn't even want enlightenment anymore. And in that relaxed state, the accident occurs. Awareness finds itself and stays on itself.
The next question has been written by a viewer on YouTube. Vishrant, my question is, Osho told jokes and had a joke book. Do you feel like telling us a joke today? And if not, why?
I loved Osho's jokes. He made me laugh so much. But he had prompts. Either they were written prompts or maybe voice activated prompts. He had prompts. My mind is blank. I don't know if you've experienced a blank mind, but my mind has been blank now for 22 years. A joke might come, it might not come, but it's basically blank. So nothing and nothing.
A second question by the same viewer. Osho released a book called The Book of No. And did you have a copy of the Book of No? It was a book of empty pages.
Yeah, I got a feeling that book was put out after he died, because I don't recall the book. After Osho died in 1990, I basically left the religion behind. They weren't calling it a religion by that stage, but it had been. I was with Osho for Osho. He was my master. And when he died, I felt that my chances of enlightenment were over for this lifetime. But being his disciple and loving him, I continued to practice meditation every day. I continued to practice self-inquiry every day. I continued to practice openness and led a life that was the way of the heart. All of it was a result of his teachings. And then 9 years after his death, enlightenment occurred while self-inquiring. I don't think being in a group is such a great idea unless the group is going in the same direction, unless the group of people that you're with support your higher consciousness, support your spiritual growth. And if you can find a group of people like that, you're very fortunate, because it's a lonely path for the seeker, because they feel out of kilter with everyone else. They're oddballs in a way, because they're seeking something that others aren't. And they're not going to get support from people who aren't into higher consciousness on their quest. And so they feel like outsiders. And so when Osho died, I thought my chances were over. I left the organisation. It's up to you. Once I found out there was other awake people on the planet, because I really didn't know, I attended their satsangs. And the first satsang I attended was down in the southwest of West Australia in Denmark with an Advaita Vedanta teacher, Isaac Shapiro. And I don't think I particularly liked Isaac very much from reading what he was about. But when he walked in the room, in the auditorium down there, awakening occurred. I found myself as the universe. He was still 50 meters away from me, but it was just enough presence to light this candle. And after satsang, and during satsang it held, but after satsang it was gone. And then for the next year, there was 1,000 satori's until one day there's just nobody left here. The sense of somebody being here is gone. And just the vast universe, vast everythingness has nothing, has everything. People started coming to sit because they could feel the presence. They'd come and sit in the presence. And for 6 months, I sat still in a room, staring into space, blissed out to the max, profoundly content for no reason, until a teacher came and said, you need to come out and show people out here, be in the marketplace, which reminded me of what Osho had said. If you find the light, don't hide it. Share it, take it into the marketplace. And so I've been doing that ever since. And this Satsang today is just another one of those occasions, sharing that light. I can never, ever repay Osho for what he's shown me. I love him to bits.
The next question is from a viewer. During sleep, I've felt some electricness and there was awareness. Have you had that kind of experience?
Can you ask the question again? I didn't hear the first bit.
During my sleep, I felt some electricity and there was awareness. Have you had that kind of experience?
I don't know that I have had that experience, no. I don't really know what you mean by electricity. Maybe you got electrocuted in the night. I don't know. In my sleep. No, I have no idea.
The following question is from a viewer. Hello, Vishrant. What questions can I ask to know more about the nature of awareness? Or do you think I should only abide in it and let answers come without effort?
Heck yeah. Collecting knowledge about awareness is a waste of time. Only the direct knowing of it through awareness being aware of itself is worth anything. Everything else is a booby prize. But we've all been programmed to collect knowledge. It's what we did at school. But it just does not work in higher consciousness. It might work to pass exams and get a degree, but it definitely doesn't work in higher consciousness. So many people sit on their knowledge thinking that they've got somewhere, and they're just as lost as they always were, living in the matrix of their mind, believing somehow they're further ahead than they are. Let go of everything. Self-inquire. Find yourself as truth. Keep self-inquiring until there's nothing left. I remember a quote from Ramana Maharshi. He was asked, how long should I self-inquire for? Asking the question, who's aware or who am I? And his answer was really sweet, until there is nobody left to answer. That'll do.
Next, Brian asks, from the Osho talks I've listened to, Osho never taught Advaita or self-inquiry. Was this your experience?
His therapist taught it. Osho had a mystery school in Pune and also in America. And I attended his mystery school in America for 8 months and his mystery school in Pune for 5 months. And in the mystery school, all sorts of different groups were available if you wanted to do them. And self-inquiry, or Enlightenment Intensive, as it was called, was one of the groups I did quite a few times. And during that group, you'd be asking the question, who am I? Or if you were doing it with a partner, tell me who you are. It was a Zen methodology with Osho, whereby every answer that was given was discounted, which is a Zen practice. Advaita Vedanta is a little different. You ask the question, what's aware, and you don't answer it with the mind. You wait for the answer to come. The answer being awareness turning on itself. It's different. And so Osho may not have spoken about self-inquiry, but he definitely enabled the groups in his mystery school to do it.
The next question has been written by Neil. Is it possible to truly live without himsa? Even for us to survive, we have to consume another life.
Without what?
Without himsa, or I guess with a himsa.
Ask the question again. I'm not understanding it.
Is it possible to truly live without himsa? Even for us to survive, we have to consume another life.
Well, that's an opinion, not a fact. There's an awful lot of vegans around that are living evidence that you don't need to kill animals to survive.
I've listened to Eckhart Tolle and Byron Katie's stories before, and it seems like they just woke up in the middle of absolutely dark times in their lives. How is this possible?
I give up. You tell me. How would I know? I got into this when I was a teenager. I was lucky enough to have intervention when I was quite young. And the work was undoing the mind, undoing the belief systems, practicing present moment awareness, being present to what is real, meditation, the practice of openness, the practice of self-inquiry, an undoing process, in fact. And so I got into it when I was around 19, started getting undone. I was definitely a seeker way before that. Couldn't work out the meaning of life. Yeah, I wasn't sitting on a park bench when I woke up. I was in Satsang with an awake teacher. And their presence enabled awareness in me to become aware of itself. And that stayed. So how they woke up, I don't know. Haven't got a clue. They're rarities. Most people who wake up come through ashrams and monasteries. They do the work. There is another side to that. Depends on whether or not you have an understanding of past lives. I started remembering my past lives when I was 12. We've all done this before. whatever we've accrued in consciousness in previous lives, we carry forward. Whatever nasties we've been involved in past lives, we get them back this life. It's karma. So in this life, I would say I came in pretty switched on. But that's the result of past lives. And so when someone like Amma, who apparently was awake from being a child, awoke, it's just past life stuff. She was ready. See, you don't wake up until you're ready. People want to know how to become enlightened. Well, get ready. Produce a mind that will support enlightenment. Develop enough good karma. Become a kind, generous, loving person. That's pretty cool. See, there's so many ingredients in this awakening thing that people don't want to know about. Whatever we've put into life in this lifetime or other lives, we have to pay back, or we get back. So people who have spontaneous awakenings at young ages or whatever, somewhere they've already done the work. Previous life, if not this life. And because I see this as a fact, I also see victim or victims as not really victims, just consequences of karma. Whatever's been put in has been got back from past lives or this life. And so I can never be a victim of anything, because if something is negative, it's just me paying back a debt. And I don't mind paying back my debts. If something's positive, same. It's all just what is. Nothing more, nothing less.
What's the hardest thing about waking up?
You want there to be a hard thing, do you? I come back to the statement, you don't wake up. That's not what happens. Awareness that's aware of itself becomes aware of itself. That's what happens. You disappear to a large degree, if not totally. As an I, you just disappear. The interest in the story of the mind is over. Hard to who? What's the hardest thing to who? If you're not there, how hard could it be? Everyone projects onto awake people, thinking that somehow they're similar to themselves. There's such an absence in someone who's awake. They're not similar at all. I first noticed that when I looked at Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh. It's like, man, there's no one there. Just gone. And that's when I realized there was two types of people on the planet. Those who are awake and those who are still asleep. He was the first one I saw. Blew my mind. Gave me a new goal. A new mountain to climb. The mountain of higher consciousness, which is a funny mountain because it's about stripping down. It's not about becoming bigger, better, and more powerful. It's about becoming less than, about taking things away, becoming a nobody, going nowhere. And that's pretty much against personal growth, which is about bigger, better, and more powerful. But it's up to you. What do you want? I wanted to get free. I wanted to know myself as truth. I had realized that I wasn't going to make it as an I. But what else is there to do but raise your consciousness levels here? What else is important? Everybody's just going around and around and around doing the same thing over and over again, every day, every week, every month. Why not raise your consciousness levels and get free? Why not raise your consciousness levels and open your heart and love everybody? This is the beauty way. It's up to you, though. I just gave myself no choice. I decided to raise my consciousness levels. So I put in practices that my teachers gave me to do so. It's up to you. What do you want? And what are you willing to pay for it? Thank you for Satsang. Good to see you brave hearts here today.